Hey guys, it's Yishan here. I just managed to top my remote duel invitational qualifier with none other than Gren Maju, and I'm going to show you guys my deck profile. So that means you guys can see me 2 weeks from now on the official Konami stream, April 10th and 11th. I don't know what I'll be playing yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So a lot of you guys also were probably wondering, Ishan, why did you play Gren Maju? Why not play Lyraless Tri Brigade? Well, the first real reason is that I did not even expect to top this event. I just wanted to play Gren Maju, and I was like, hey, like I'm just gonna, I want to play Gren Maju. It's my favorite deck. The second reason though is that the meta is decent in a decent spot for Gren Maju right now. I won't say it's like fantastic because this deck is probably not even tier two, but it's in a decent spot, and there are a lot of like decent matchups. You don't have any like super blowouts, but you have a lot of like good matchups. And the third and biggest reason was that people were expecting me to play Lyraless Tri Brigade, and I'm not to like flex or brag, but like if you play a deck or you're known as like known for something in community, like back when I like play a lot of Gren Maju, people would just randomly make me go first, even if their deck didn't want to go first, just because they knew what I was playing. And so I figured I'd get a slight edge with Gren Maju if people thought I was playing Lyraless Tri Brigade, and instead I decided, no, actually I'm playing Gren Maju, so they might make a different board or set up differently or play differently depending on what they thought, and so I could maybe catch some people off guard. So that's why I chose Gren Maju, favorite deck, and hey, look, it did pretty well, so I'm glad I chose it. I managed a 4-1-1 record, sneaking my way into top 8, and I'm going to go into my matchups now. I'll have timestamps for the start of the deck in the description below. Okay, so round one, I played against my friend Colby. He was on Bird Up, and he actually managed to top 8 as well. So I will be trying to get his deck profile for you guys because I know people really do love Bird Up. Colby was able to beat me in that. I had some super poly targets for his board, his full Lyraless Tri Brigade board, but I wasn't able to draw super poly. And then game two, I just didn't have any good outs to a statue, so I lost that one 2-0 or 0-2. Round two, I played against Shadol. This is actually a crazy game. I love playing against Shadol because it's always really exciting. And so actually it was really back and forth, and I just barely clutched it out in the end. I almost lost, but it was a really fantastic game, so shout outs to my opponent there. Round three, I played against another Shadol. My opponent just didn't really have a good hand in the first game, and in the second game, I was able to chain D-Shifter to his El Shadol Fusion, and I mean that's pretty nuts against the Shadol deck. And then round four, I was against PK Fire. He had a really nice combo, but I was able to simply just draw Super Poly, basically. I had Super Poly and Thunderbird to discard Super Poly to pop his Fog Blade. So, I mean, I just opened really well. Then game two, I was able to TC Boo him out because I expected him to make me go first. And then round five, I played against Isala, who was on Dragon Link. The first game didn't go so well. But we had like a judge call, and it took a bunch of time, and they probably honestly didn't give us enough time for the judge call. I mean, I don't know exactly, but it definitely felt like they didn't give us enough time. That happened to actually work in my favor because game two, like I was going to lose that game in the long run, but I had one turn where I could deal a bunch of damage to him, and I was able to deal like 6,800 damage or something. And then he just couldn't perform actions fast enough to get me back. So I was able to escape that match with a tie, luckily, because I think a loss would have knocked me out. And then round six, I got to play against Dragon Link again, and this one I won 2-0. He played it safe on his first game, and I was able to actually just OTK him. If you draw a good hand, you can do that. And then game two, I opened D-Shifter, and he didn't make a very good board. And then I was actually, Gren Maju came in and saved me and OTK'd him. So, yeah, that was that. I'm going to get on the deck profile now, so let's get right to it. All right, so here we are. I guess I'll just start with the main deck first. I played 3 Gren Maju. I actually didn't see him very much today, but he did come up in my bubble match to win me the match. A few other times, like I probably summoned him once or twice. A lot of times he got discarded off dangers, or I just didn't see him. I actually kind of wish I saw him more against like the Dragon Link matchups. You usually have a very small window to win the game, and you need to take advantage of it then. So I wish I saw more, but he did. I stayed faithful, and he rewarded me with a nice clutch in the bubble match. And then we have three Pot of Desires. I mean, three Pot of Desires, three Gizmek, basically just as good as Pot of Desires. I mean, card was fantastic all day. There's not much to say. It's probably the best card in the deck. And then I only ran 2 Eater Millions. The deck was capped at 40, and it was like 38, and I needed 2 more cards, and Eater Millions seemed like the best choice, especially with a lot of Shadows running around. It's a pretty good card, not like super good. I think it actually has some potency though. Like there are sometimes you want to have 3 in your deck, and sometimes you don't want to have any. And since I didn't want to go over 40, I just played 2, and so it was fine all day. And then I played the Danger package, which was fantastic. 3 Danger Bigfoot, 3 Danger Thunderbird. My Danger luck was pretty good most of the day. I mean, I had some bad Dangers, of course, that happens. But, you got to play these. They really cycle through the deck really well. And they work well with this style of Gren Maju deck. I actually went for a Kaiju Luna Alpha style Gren Maju deck this time. And the Dangers work really well with that because your hand count can be pretty high with the Lunas and the Kaijus bouncing back and all that stuff. So I got the Dangers here. And then I played 3 Gamma Seal and 3 Godarla. These are the best Kaijus. Gamma Seal just because it has the lowest attack, and Godarla because it's also wind, so it's one of your outs to the wind statue to basically play. So there's that. And then we've got triple Fairy Tale Luna and triple Alpha to go along. These cards were pretty good all day. I didn't see Alpha too much. I kind of wish I saw it more because it's one of the best cards in the deck. I saw Luna quite a bit though. But when I did see Alpha, it was pretty fantastic. And then Luna was very good. It was a solid card all day, and it's like a normal summon that you need to have. It just sort of helps you in the grind game. Basically what it does is it can search itself, and then it has a quick effect to target a monster your opponent controls and try to bounce it, and then your opponent can send a monster with the same name from deck to grave. Otherwise, they get bounced. So like the combo is you kaiju their monster, Luna target the kaiju. Most of the time, they don't have a kaiju in their deck. It just comes right back to your hand to be reused, and the Luna also gets to be reused. So really, really cool. I definitely think this is the right meta call because of all the, I expected a lot of Shadows, which kaijus are fantastic against. Dragon Link, kaijus are fantastic against. Almost every deck except for like Eldritch, kaijus are fantastic against, and even in that matchup, kaijus are pretty good. So like kaijus are just good everywhere, and so like to match up with that, I wanted to play a big kaiju package basically, and these cards work really well with the kaijus. Okay, so then for the last monster we have 1 Pankratops, just a staple. I actually didn't draw him all day, but he's a good card, so play him. And then spells. So the most spell that like I'm the most not sure about is Kaiju Slumber. And this is mainly because it's really, really good or sometimes really, really bad. Like I don't know if trading 1 for 1 is good with it because like unlike a kaiju, if you trade 1 for 1, there's like a lot of potential to bounce it back to your hand or special a kaiju from your hand. But like if you get this to resolve, it's really, really good. And in the grind game, it's super, super good. My matches weren't too grindy today though, and I also just sometimes didn't see it at the right time. And the banishing can be a little awkward with this deck. Like sometimes you can turn it off, but it's a really high power card. Like I could see playing an extra Eater over it, but it has so much upside that I wanted to just max out on it. I didn't really draw too much today, so there's that. It's also like a slightly awkward draw off the Dangers, which I don't really like. Like sometimes you like Danger, you draw Slumber, like it does nothing. So there's that, but if it resolves, it's like super good. Like I guess I could see playing maybe D-shifters over these, not sure. One problem though is if you put in D-shifter in your deck. So you notice I'm not playing D-shifter. I'm siding it though. But yeah, I want to play trade-in because trade-in is like super good in this deck. Like you have so many level 8s, so this is like never dead. And there's so many 2-for-1s you can get off this. So that's really, really strong. I didn't see it much today because I was siding in D-shifter a lot. And if you side in D-shift, you should take these out because D-shifter is like the one card, if you draw into it, it's just dead. So I'd rather open it or just not have draw cards because I don't want to draw into the D-shifter. But as a solid card, the meta was pretty like it was like pretty much all meta, so maybe I should have played D-Shifter in the main. but I enjoy it in the side because you know like what deck you're playing it against and you know when to activate it. So yeah, and then I had 3 super polys. This I think is going to find its way back in the meta. There's more Shadows. Eldritch, if you just put a super poly target in your extra deck, this is pretty good against Eldritch. It's good against Dragon Link. It's honestly good against everything. It's even good against Lyreless Tri Brigade. So I will show you how to use that against Lyreless Tri Brigade in the extra deck. So I think it's actually really, really good right now. And then there's 3 Desires and then 1 Monster Reborn. So one benefit of not playing D-Shifter is you get to play this card. If you set in D-Shifter, I'd recommend you set on Monster Reborn because the 2 cards do not work well together. So there's that. Let's go side deck next. Let's do 3-Dimension Shifter. So I see a lot of people maining this card, and I understand why. I think it's fine in the side, though. Like, there were times where it was really good, and there were times where it was pretty bad. But, you know, overall, I think it performed pretty well for me today. It definitely won me some games. But again, like, it's a dead card sometimes. But if you side it in, it's like perfect in the side because like sometimes you side it in and like it just wrecks your opponent. So I actually want to talk about this with Dragon Link, and I'm still trying to figure out how I want to play this deck against Dragon Link. I mean, D-Shifter is very good against Dragon Link. I'm tempted to just fire it off in the standby phase. I was firing it off in main phase, and like that's really good if they don't have Chaos Space. But if they have Chaos Space, then usually they usually still can make seal and retain a bunch of card advantage, and that's kind of a problem because I don't want that to happen. And so like maybe D-Shifter just forcing them to pass and trying to OTK is the best result. The problem with that is like this is not the castle version, and so like if my opponent doesn't summon a monster. It's really hard. It can be hard to OTK them unless you draw Gren Maju because like all your level 8s are like kaijus, right? I mean, it's not like impossible, but like it's much less likely. I think I might in the future try to go with standby phase D-Shifter against Dragon Link, and then I also sided 1 Eater, the 3rd Eater, and so I think the strategy my going forward is to definitely like put in this Eater to maximize like your Gren Maju kill potential. And so you just like maybe you like standby phase, you just D-Shifter and hope to kill your opponent. I think that might be like the right play. If your hand is good, you probably just standby phase D-Shifter, try to, you know, like stop them down. But yeah, I cited the 3rd Eater because like I expect like against Shadil this is like super good. Because like in the grind game, if you ever get to a point where you can just attack with this, I mean it's like just lights out because you literally just banish their monster. That's usually their play. So, you know, it was fine. I sided in against my Shadil matchups. I didn't even draw Eater against my Shadil matchups, but that's what I put it in for. Or matches where I thought it would be good. And then I played the Floodgates, which were really good. I actually didn't see Summon Limit all day, but basically when I sided in TCP, I also sided in Summon Limit. And I just happened to draw TCP more. They probably would have been honestly the same card if I drawn them. They just like sort of win you the game. Like I cheesed my opponent with these cards. And so, yeah. There is that. And then I played back row removal. I played 3 Twin, 1 Harpy's Feather, 1 Red Reboot. I have Lightning Storms. I tried evenly for a bit, but I didn't really like it because you didn't get your battle phase. Twin is like super easy to use in this deck. Like there's always something that you're fine with discarding. And then these were like just like I drew Duster once, but it wasn't really in a good situation. I just like discarded it. And then Red Reboot I never drew, but like the back row removal was fine. So there's that. Like I think definitely Twin is pretty good in this deck. It's just like such a solid card. Like it's quick play and has a lot of like plays, and so I enjoyed the Twin Twister. It was fine. And then I have my Draglubian package in the extra deck. 1 Reminiscent Draglubian, 1 Hope Harbinger, and 1 Numeron Dragon. Just like I actually OTK people with this like 2 or 3 times today. So I mean, like it's just a really, really good package. One of the best buffs to Gren Maju since Master Rule 5. I played the Zeus package, which I surprisingly didn't go into once. I almost every tournament I usually go into the Zeus package. I went into Ding a few times, but not the Zeus. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Levianeer, Chaos Dragon Levianeer is this deck's biggest problem in Dragon Link. Honestly, if that didn't exist, you could just make Ding, make Zeus, and you call it a day, but then they always have Chaos Dragon Levianeer again to pop, so like the Zeus play doesn't really work. And then 1 Sanafond, I cut this, but then I put it back because I took out one of my super play targets that I didn't think I was going to see. It's just good. Like I summoned it once and it was fine. It just comes up in random occasions. And then I played the 2 links, Cerberus and Phoenix. Didn't come up, but they're the most common links that come up. Okay, so super supply targets. This is where it gets a little more interesting. I got one Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, one Pride of Plant Dragon Stapelia, and one Mud Dragon of the Swamp. I think everyone would agree that these are like the most common targets. This is really good against Shadol and Invoked and two Darks. I mean, really comes up all the time. And then Mud Dragon of the Swamp. There is that thought to play the super play target, the two Dark Dragon super play target. The problem is, like, I actually make use of the level 8, so I just figured a more generic super play target would be worth it. No need to play the two Dark Dragons. Because I like to use the level 8, so I figured a generic one is fine. I summoned these two. This one didn't come up. Honestly, you could cut it maybe, but it's so generic that like you might need it. And then I played 3 super targets that surprisingly, amazingly didn't come up because like I didn't play a single Invoked, which I was surprised because Invoked and Eldritch honestly are all that I see online. So Elysium is like really good against Invoked, and it also gives you some flexibility because sometimes they think they're playing around super poly, but they're actually not. The Mad Golden Lord. So there's also a Necro Dragon Nether Soul or whatever, which is just 2 zombies. I went for this one, first of all, because it's badass. And second of all, because it has so much attack. And I found in those Eldritch matchups, sometimes like the games come down to so few life points. And just having a hard thing to kill that just slams your opponent for 3,800, it actually does make a difference quite a bit of the time. So I definitely pick one up if you haven't already, if you play a lot of super play decks. And then one World Chalice Guard Dragon Almerduk. So why did I play this? Well, basically it's for the bird up matchup. When I did super play target video, I said this card is like almost basically worse than Earth Golem at Ignister. But actually, we've come to a point where this card is better than Earth Golem Ignister because the only super play target that beats a Lyralus Tri-Brigade full board is this card. I actually did get full board once today. I just didn't have the super poly, but it would have been a sick play. I mean, you fuse all their links, and you get a nice 3,000 win monster that can attack all monsters your opponent controls. So really good. That is the last card in the deck, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. You know, it was a lot of fun to play at the event. I'm really happy that I got to make it back to the Remote Duel Invitational. I honestly didn't think I was going to make it back, but here we are. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe already, and I will see you guys in the next video.